Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for coming today. My name is Susan McPherson, and on behalf of the Columbia Chamber and my Commanding General Carl Blackstone, it is a pleasure to see each and every one of you here today. I want to start this meeting with just a tribute to Major General George Goldsmith. He was a very true friend of each and every one of us in this room, a very special man for so many reasons. He was the chairman of this military outreach group for 15 years. He helped us save the fort. He was a major component of bringing the USO into South Carolina. He also was a major component in bringing the Fort Jackson National Cemetery here. He loved his country. He loved working as an ambassador for the 81st Reserves. He loved each and every soldier here, and he was just such a wonderful man. More importantly than loving all of us and loving our military, he loved his sweet wife, Emily. He loved his son, Phil, his son-in-law, David, Anne Marie. They were a close family, and they all grew up in the military. And when you take a look at what it takes to be successful, and you want to look at what is a role model, we always say we retain a soldier, we recruit a soldier, and we retain a family. And they are it. Both of the boys served in the military and are still working to serve our country. So I just felt like it was a prime and very fitting tribute. I can never say enough words about what he's done for this community, AUSA, the friendships we shared with him, and the legacy he leaves. We should all hope that when we leave this earth, that we made the same difference that he made. So that being the case, you're all here today. You're making a major difference, and we certainly appreciate each and every one of you for what you do, not only for our military, but also for our community and as business reps. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. We appreciate you. And now it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium Karen Jenkins. She is our chairman of the board. She is a military spouse, and she is a great cheerleader and champion for not only the business community, the Columbia Chamber, but our military. Karen, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, everybody. I was so excited when I walked in the door and saw how many of you took time out of your very busy schedules today to come and spend some time with us. This has to be one of, if not the favorite part of me serving as chair of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. Now I have 5 days left, but who's counting? Montague Lateef will be coming in as the new chair as of September 1st, but I'm going to tell you that it has been a true honor and true pleasure. This room represents the best of our community, our military service providers, our community at large, and our business community coming together to ensure that Columbia and the surrounding area is one of the best, if not the best place to work, live, and play. As Susan said, I am a military spouse, but I'm also a military brat. I've only been disconnected from the military for 2 months of my life. April 15th, I came off of my father's support, and on July 2nd, I married my husband. I don't know how that worked, but it went that way. And I'm going to tell you how much I loved Columbia. So my military folks will get this. My father spent 27 years in the Army. My husband spent 24. Of course, I met him halfway through, but I've never left Columbia. So that says a lot. My mom said, well, we had a choice, but we decided to stay here. But I want to thank you, first and foremost, to how many military spouses? Raise your hand. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for your service, because without you, or should I say without us, there might not be a them, right? And to our military, thank you for the sacrifices, the leadership, the commitment, the drive that you do every single day to make this day possible for each and every one of us. To our business community, thank you for supporting not just your business, because you could be sitting behind a desk right now and worrying only about $1. But your presence here today says that you care about the community and everybody that's in it. And to our community members at large, I thank all of you for all that you do. So we're going to turn this over to hear some updates from some legislative representatives from our military, because, when you know better, you do better. We want to find out what's going on, and we want to figure out how can we contribute and make our lives and the community that we live a better place. So at this time, I want to ask that everybody stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Where's the flag? Okay, it's over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you. You know, the chamber has so many great partners and we do a lot of great things to bring the community together, but we could not do that if we did not have great sponsors. So at this time, I would like to welcome to the podium for some comments, Mr. Thomas Taffel for Lexington Medical Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thomas Taffel. I'm the Director of Community Health at Lexington Medical Center. And I just want to say thank y'all for coming out today on your busy days. Another hot day. I thought last weekend had kind of tricked us into the good weather. But Lexington Medical Center's mission is to provide quality health services that meet the needs of our communities. Emphasis on community. We think that the military is one of our most important communities in the Midlands area, and it's an honor for us to get to partner with the Chamber to serve that community. And so thank y'all so much for being out here today. It truly is an honor. I will not talk for very long and let y'all get to the program. I hope y'all have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. Lexington Medical is a great sponsor, as are many of our other partners here, not only in providing the support, but also in walking the talk. They have a lot of former military folks there. And for the Army guys, they even hired an ex-Marine. So he says it's to bring the IQ up. I don't know. I'm just repeating his story. But they were very gracious in hosting a recent we had a senior leaders orientation program with Fort Jackson where we brought in all of our new senior leaders, and from a tour through downtown Columbia to bringing in different representatives from the community to give them an update and a briefing. These are the guys that are going to be here, them and their families, for the next 2 years leading the fort. So we wanted to make sure that they understood, here's our community. We walk the talk. We're not just a great American defense community. By talking, we all come together and work together. So it was a wonderful event. They love the city. It's working our plan very well. We say, come here, serve here, and then retire here. So what better can you ask for? Now we always provide a brief from Suzanne Washington, consultant, and she is going to provide us with an update on what's going on in Washington. As you can well appreciate, there is a lot going on in Washington right now. But mostly what we focus on is support that they provide for us here through our military funding. And so our congressional representatives will also be talking about that too. But Carl and I couldn't do what we do here locally if we did not have the support of our congressional leaders, our city and county leaders, and just from Forest Acres, we have Stephen Oliver here. Thank you, Stephen, for being here. They were at the change of command the other day. We have Debbie Summers with us from Lexington County Council. Thank you so much. And they are partners in our funding support for our military work. So a big shout out to y'all. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for your active involvement in supporting our military. So with that, I'm going to ask our fine gentlemen with Sounds and Images, if they would, to share the program from Suzanne Casting Associates in Washington. Thank you.
Good morning from Washington. It's morning here in Washington on Monday. I don't have a ton of things to report this month because Congress is in recess, but I just wanted to provide a couple of updates on the timelines from the last time we talked about where we are in current legislation, as well as an outlook on what's anticipated to happen with us going into presidential election year. So first, look at the House. I'm sure that our congressional representatives will fill some of this in. The House has passed its 3 major pieces of defense legislation off of the House floor. So first, they started with, on June 5th, they passed the Milcon VA Appropriations Committee bill. On June 14th, they passed the House version of the Defense Authorization Bill off of the House floor. And on June 28th, they passed the House version of Defense Appropriations off the floor. As far as some of the other appropriations bills go, a handful of them have passed, but some ran into some issues in the Rules Committee. So while we anticipate that the House might be done with its appropriations process before August recess, that ended up not being the case. If we look at the Senate side, the Senate has also completed out of committee its three main pieces of legislation. The NDAA, the Defense Authorization, was marked up by the Senate Armed Services Committee on July 8th. We do not expect that bill will see floor time. I'd be curious to hear from Senator Graham's staff if they feel otherwise, but at this point, we are hearing that staff is pre-conferencing that bill, and we probably will see some kind of agreement between the House and Senate hit the floor rather than take it to the floor on its own as its own piece of legislation. There was a little bit of momentum before August recess to make that happen, but it got a little hung up with some of the politics going on, as you can imagine. The landscape changing over the last 5 weeks has greatly affected how Congress is doing its business and how leadership on both the House and Senate are approaching things. On July, as far as the other two pieces of legislation, on July 11th, the Senate Appropriations Committee marked up the Mill VA bill, the MilCon and VA appropriations bill. And on August 1st, they released the remainder of the appropriations bills, save for the Homeland Security bill, including the defense appropriations bills. So what does this all mean? Well, we are vaulting just over a month away towards the end of the fiscal year. And as you can imagine, none of that business is going to be completed by the end of the fiscal year. So as is normal over the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, pretty much as long as I've been doing this, we are anticipating a continuing resolution into the new fiscal year, most likely after the election around Thanksgiving time. I have not seen any dates on that. I don't think there are any big dates being talked about right now, but with Congress only coming back for 3 weeks after Labor Day and then heading back to district to get ready for the November elections, as you can imagine, there's just limited time to get business done. So while Congress is here for 3 weeks, there's some hearings going on, some appointments happening, but as you can imagine, I guess they will come in town very briefly, pass a continuing resolution until after the election, before Thanksgiving, and then it's anybody's guess. At this point in time, my political instincts say that I don't think, no matter what happens in the fall elections, House, Senate, or the presidency, that there will be a continuing resolution into the new year. I think because this is the end of a Congress, there will be the appetite to clear the deck, which means go ahead and pass a year-long appropriations omnibus and not a year-long CR. A lot of work has been done to get to this point. I know staff is working really hard to try to get things pre-conference to make that a little bit easier. There likely is going to be some kind of political change, whether the House flips, the Senate flips, the White House flips. You're already going to see a new president with President Biden not being reelected. So it's anybody's guess. I'd be curious to hear if if our members of Congress and their and their designees have additional thoughts or opinions on that. But we will continue working hard to do the business of the people of Fort Jackson and McIntyre and the Midlands. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our delegation. They've been working really hard on a lot of priorities when it comes to quality of life, military construction, making sure that all of our funding remains whole on the base. So thank you for everything you do. It's good to see everybody, or see you virtually, and I look forward to hearing from our presenters. Bye-bye.
She's right. We couldn't do what we do here if we didn't have her up there working hard. And I know some members of our military group took a tour up to Washington recently so that they could personally make their case and say thank you, and also point out what are some opportunities and challenges coming for us in the future. So your agenda says that Congressman Wilson's coming. I'm going to switch offices and sides, and I'm going to go and ask William if he would come up and give us a report from Senator Graham's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? There's a lot of people here. This is great. All right, I do have some updates. For the NDAA, the Senate has yet to pass their NDA, and it's unclear what the process for that will be. More clarity will be given in the Senate when the Senate returns in September. Senator Graham secured the following authorizations for MilCon projects in the FY25 NDAA. The Marine Corps A Station Beaufort Fuel Pier for $31.5 million. Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island Ambulatory Care Clinic Replacement Dental, $72 million. Joint Base Charleston Aeromedical Evacuation Facility, $33 million. Senator Graham did attempt to authorize funding for the Fort Jackson CDC, but this project was not authorized due to the project being too far to the right, they said. In the Army's planning. Senator Graham will continue to advocate for this in the FY26 cycle. An appropriations side, the Senate passed out of committee the FY25 Milcon VA bill on July 11th, and Senator Graham secured the following appropriations projects in South Carolina: the Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island Ambulatory Care Clinic Replacement Dental, 72 million. Joint Base Charleston Aeromedical, 33 million, which was an earmark. Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort Aircraft Maintenance Hangar, 61.7 million, which was an earmark. Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort Fuel Pier, 31.5. That's still being worked. And then the Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island Ambulatory Care Replacement, that was in there. And then we still need to pass out a conference version of the bill, so these numbers could change. But Senator Graham will continue to advocate for the Senate mark. The Senate passed out of committee the Senate Defense Bill on August 1st. This bill contains a top line increase of $18.8 billion above the FY25 request. Senator Graham was pleased with this increase, but we still have work to do. The House kept to the FY25 request number of $895 billion. Right now, it is unclear how the Senate will proceed with appropriations, but they foresee a limited movement until after the election. F-16 simulators in the FY25 defense bill, Senator Graham secured $50 million to fund the F-16 simulator for the Air National Guard. While we still have to pass the final bill, the funding set a good mark for the conference. Doesn't make sense to have a simulator building without simulators in it. So, which was trying to be worked, and then anyway, it's just kind of crazy. And we're continuing to work with the VA, especially the hospital. We keep having interim directors, and hopefully at some point that will stop. And as far as casework wise, casework has been extremely heavy. That's why we're here, though. And we look forward to assisting if anybody needs any help, especially military VA. Any of the congressional offices are always available to help or give guidance. And appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
And then George Sharp from Senator Scott's office. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that great report, William. Appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Senator Scott sends his regards. He wishes he could be here, but he wanted me to let you know that he appreciates every single one of you, all of our military, veteran, and family members, as well as our partners in the community that assist our veterans after they get out of the force. Regarding the NDAA, Senator Scott continues to work with Senator Graham's office to get the funding for the simulator. We are hopeful that when the bill does pass, we will have that funding and that will be provided. Senator Scott helped secure $1.82 billion in authorized funding for South Carolina military installations, as well as the Savannah River site. Some amendments to the NDAA include the Protect Our Bases Act, which will require agencies represented on the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States to provide updated records of the military, intelligence, and national laboratory facilities that should be sensitive sites for national security purposes on an annual basis, as well as a one-year Defense Protection Act sunset extension so that can continue through fiscal year 25. Regarding casework, our office has reached nearly 1,000 cases for veterans, military members, and their families so far this year, and we continue to work with those families and veterans. If you or anyone you know needs help, just like William said, please reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I encourage everybody to take them up on their offer. They'll help you out, whether it's post office or veterans benefits or anything of that nature. They'll be more than happy to help. And now it is my pleasure and pride to introduce Congressman Joe Wilson. He's here to just give us a brief update. He's on his bus tour and gives us the honor of stopping by to give us a brief update on things that are going on. Thank you, sir.
Hey,
Good to see you.
Susan, thank you. Hey,
Thank you.
and ladies and gentlemen and fellow, gosh, look at, hey, to see Colonel Suedo paying attention, I'm so impressed. Okay, excuse me, I shouldn't say, hey, no, but hey, I'm really grateful to be here. And as I came in and was listening about the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, I came to speak on that. But the good news is I can tell you what has already been reported by William, and Senator Scott's office is correct. And I can point out the Senate has not passed it. I'm just appalled. Okay. But the House, you'll be happy to know, it was actually bipartisan. It passed the House of Armed Services Committee, and by just there was just one negative vote. And so I want to give a lot of credit to Mike Rogers. He's the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, and then I want to give credit to Adam Smith, who's the ranking member, working together to come up with defense capabilities that are very important. And then I have the real wonderful good fortune of representing Fort Jackson and representing Savannah Riverside. And so I pay attention at the meetings. And so I'm really grateful that indeed General Kelly was at his leaving the change of command, and what a great person. But General Hood, I'm confident, will do a wonderful job. And so I'm grateful, correct, that the different necessities for the fort are being addressed. And then I'm particularly grateful. I am the only person in Congress who can say that they trained at Fort Jackson and worked at Savannah Riverside. So I worked at the Savannah Riverside, so I understand that too. And very important for our country. And there was some real pushback, but again, it was bipartisan to provide for plutonium pit production, and that it's a real requirement of 2 sites. And so we have Los Alamos and Savannah Riverside. The plutonium pits, which is part of our nuclear deterrence, many of them are 60 years of age or older, and there's a real question as to their efficacy. And so, sadly, Mr. Putin knows that, and so does Mr. Xi, and so does Khomeini, and so does Un. And anyway, there are a whole group of people out there that we want them to know that we have a deterrence to have peace through strength. And the way to do that is to have our weapons to be the best in the world, as to provide for peace through strength. And what a time we're in. I've actually seen it firsthand. We did not choose what's going on. And that is that we have dictators with rule of gun invading democracies with rule of law. And I had last year to visit in Ukraine. I visited Bucha in Ukraine, which is suburbs of Kiev. It'd be like Blythewood or Irma. In fact, when I got there, it looked like Blythewood and Irma with single-member homes, and except for one difference, and that is Russian troops had come in and taken entire families out of their homes, tied their hands behind the back, shot them in the head, and buried them in the yard. And so I saw where this had occurred. Then I've also seen 2 months ago, I visited the kibbutz near Oz in Israel, where the Iranian puppets came in and actually videoed themselves laughing. And many people, it's almost certain they were on Captagon, they were on drugs. They videoed themselves placing babies in microwaves to kill them before they then killed the moms and dads. It's just inconceivable. And I was at the Nova Film, a music festival site where young people were beheaded right there by people laughing as they were committing these crimes. And so we've just got to be ever vigilant. And then on the way here, I'm very disappointed. 3 years ago, I went to thank our National Guard troops at Del Rio, and I asked how many people had crossed on the terrorist watch list. And I was told that they were not allowed to tell me. Well, of course, we asked, and now we know hundreds. But on the way here, I found out that already this year, substantially over another 100 on the watch list had come across, but maybe 200 on the northern border. And then the inquiry, as they would not tell me, today on the way here, I found out that they will not give the information as to the nationality of where the terrorists are coming from. And President Biden himself has said that a lone wolf could kill everybody in this room, and that is their intent. And so we've got to be ever vigilant. And any way I can back up everybody here. I'm just honored to be on the Armed Services Committee and be on the Foreign Affairs Committee and also on Education Workforce. So people like Alex Morris, our district director, keep me busy. So I'm very happy to be here and want to thank all of you for what you do for South Carolina and for peace through strength. Thank you.
So when you hear about the other places, it makes it even more important and more critical and us more passionate when we see what our military members do for us to keep us safe and secure and to protect our freedom. You just can't be thanked enough. So we appreciate that. And our military in South Carolina makes a difference. We are all over the world taking care of business. And so for that, we are truly grateful, we're proud, and we're thankful. We're going to switch gears now and hear from Colonel Hutton and let him tell us he's had a lot of work going on out at the Fort Jackson, a lot of changes going on, and he's handling it so nicely. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me. All right, good afternoon. I'm Mark Hutton. I'm the Deputy Commander for Fort Jackson. On behalf of General Hood, who is now our Commanding General as of last Friday, it's really my pleasure to be here and talk a little bit about what's going on at the fort. First thing is Susan would scold me if I didn't make some announcements. So we had two great things happen 2 weeks ago. The first one is one of our family advocate providers, Ms. Kamala Henley, was honored by the Department of Defense as being one of the lead family advocate program directors in all of the Department of Defense. So that's quite an honor for our small installation. And also, the Association of the United States Army Family of the Year this year now comes from Fort Jackson, and that's the Messenger family. If you've had a chance to meet them, they did a lot of stuff with Camp Cole in Richland Northeast. So they will be the Army's Family of the Year, and that'll be awarded in October. So great to hear that. Couple things going on. We had our change of command, as mentioned by Congressman Wilson on Friday. So General Kelly's on his way to Washington, D.C., and General Hood's packing his house right now. A couple great events for the community, if you're interested. On 7 September, we'll do our Run for the Fallen from Hilton Field. It's a 5K run open to the public, and that's where we honor all South Carolina veterans that have fallen in the wars over the last 20 years or so. From the 16th of September to the 20th of September, we'll host the Army's Drill Sergeant of the Year competition. So it's been a couple years since it's been back to Fort Jackson, but we will host it, and we are hoping to have the winner. On the 27th of September, we'll have our annual Oktoberfest. Again, that's open to the entire community. So watch for the flyers for that. For any veterans organizations and so on interested, we will do our resiliency stand to the 3rd and 4th of October. Please grab me afterwards if you're interested in participating in that, and I'll link you up with our garrison to come on out and support our soldiers and families as we show them what resiliency really is and what is in the local community to provide for that. And then, of course, for those partners with us, the USO and so on, we will do our rehearsal for our Christmas Exodus on the 22nd of November. And we will actually do Exodus this year from the 17th to the 19th of December. So if you're scheduling your Christmas tickets, I highly recommend do it before or after, because we'll ship out about 5,000 trainees through the Charlotte and Columbia airports during that time frame. As we get close to the beginning of the fiscal year, right now, many of you have heard me talk about the Future Soldier Prep Course, an outstanding program that was stood up here at Fort Jackson to allow those that weren't doing quite so well on their Armed Forces Battery exam to come here and have a chance to improve their score and get the occupational specialty that they want. We just crossed the 25,000 mark since we stood up that program. So 25,000 soldiers across the active duty, Army Reserve, and National Guard that have had a chance to come in and serve because of this program. So we're pretty excited about that. And so with that, I am going to be followed by General Sherrill in the 81st Readiness Division. Sir.
All right, so just a few things. Just like Fort Jackson, the 81st Readiness Division has gone through a summer of change. So the last time I was here, it was a poorly kept secret that Major General Harder was being nominated to be the next Chief of the Army Reserve. Fortunately, that nomination has gone through. In the end of July, he got officially confirmed. So Major General Harder has left our community and moved up to DC to be the Chief of the Army Reserve and also CG of USARC at Fort Liberty. So he'll split his time between those two locations. So he left out the 23rd of July. Behind him, Major General Patricia Wallace came in to assume command of the 81st Division. She's coming from the 80th Training Command out of Virginia, and she would be here today, but she's currently down in Puerto Rico overseeing a change of command with the garrison down there and seeing the facilities we have on the island. Also, in the summer of change, our chief of staff changed out. So Pete Quinn, who was a longtime member of the Columbia community, has left the 81st and moved to Maine, I believe it is. And Luther Thomas, who's here with us today, is the new chief of staff. Along with Luther coming in, we've changed out several commanders within the subordinate units across the command. Susan, thank you for mentioning Major General Goldsmith. And whenever I hear about all the things he's done, it's very humbling. And I think, man, I need to do a lot more. But General Goldsmith was a great team member, great part of the 81st Readiness Division team. So within our organization, the last 90 days, we've been busy around the United States and overseas. So at Fort Liberty, we've had our units participate in the 18th Airborne Corps Warfighter. If you're not familiar, 18th Airborne Corps is the rapid response corps for the nation. So it's great that we get to be part of that team. We've had teams in Japan participating in exercises. We've had detachments at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, training for overseas deployment. We've had teams at the 80th anniversary of D-Day operation. We've had military history teams in the Horn of Africa and Italy, all doing either AT, their annual training is being outside of the United States, or in some cases, they're on a year-long deployment. Then, of course, we have bad weather in the Southeast every summertime, so we're always keeping track of the hurricanes that are moving in and how it affects our reserve centers around everywhere from North Carolina down to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So every storm is a concern with us, how it knocks down power lines and fences and those kind of things. So we keep close watch on all that. And I was honored to be able to participate in the latest ESGR Boss Lift event that was last week. So thank you for letting me participate. Next 90 days, most of the reservists are done with their AT and they're getting back to working their civilian jobs and getting their kids back to school and watching SEC football and rooting for the Bulldogs to lose. So looking forward to a great fall. We are continuing deployments. So we've got actually a band that's heading to the southwest border. If you don't know that, band's secondary mission is security. So they're expected to carry rifles and pull security. So we have a band going to the southwest border. We're continuing to support units that are going to Eastern Europe, supporting the mission in Ukraine. And we're also sending units to CENTCOM, supporting the missions in that area. Then I guess the last thing we'll mention that we're supporting the units that are coming back. So we're running a lot of yellow ribbon events and welcome home ceremonies to transition the soldiers off of their orders back to their family lives, back to their jobs. It's a great mission that we have. And then lastly, I'll just say many of you are familiar that the 81st Division has historical ties to Fort Jackson. So back in 1917, we were formed here on Fort Jackson. But a little bit more recent history, about 80 years ago, the Wildcats were in the Pacific. So they had trained in the Southeast. They headed to California. Then they headed to Hawaii and did jungle training. Then they went to Guadalcanal. And then 80 years ago, come mid-September, they were part of the Marines' assault on the islands of Palau. So they are part of the island campaign, Palau, Philippines, and eventually ended up in Japan. So great part of our history that we're going to commemorate coming up in the next couple months. Thank you.
Hello, Colonel Jeff Eaton, on behalf of Major General McCarty and General Jones. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, sir, Congressman Wilson, the entire CODEL staff. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Army side, I'm Army Chief of Staff. I don't get up often, but they felt sorry for me. So currently, we only have about 200 soldiers deployed, and that's really about a 5-year low. Then the next 2 years, that's going to start to pick up significantly. And we really kick that off here in the next 60 days, roughly. The MP Battalion Headquarters out of Florence will deploy to Poland in support of NATO, and we do have a transportation company out of the Lawrence Armory going to the southwest border, as well as an MP company out of West Columbia going to the southwest border. So certainly been busy, and it will continue to get busy as we move into 25 and 26 will be awfully big years for us. We just wrapped up, and I think it was mentioned, a State of the State. Got to meet with our congressional delegation to DC. Very productive events, really helping us. What is that future force structure, that capability we want to get after, not only as an Army, but as an Air Guard as well. On the state side, our other half of our mission, Hurricane Debbie, as you know, we probably dodged a little bit of a bullet there. Put about 500 soldiers on duty, about 50 missions. So we're awfully proud anytime we can give back and serve the ladies and the men and women of this community, rather, South Carolina native, daughter in the Guards, would love to give back to those in need. We did also, in a big muscle movement, the state of Florida asked us for a transportation company for a group of young troops to convoy to Florida, be prepared to support the citizens of Florida. They weren't needed eventually, but says a lot about the young men and women in this state, and they can't do what they do without your support. On some community events, we just recently started a new youth challenge and job challenge program, very important program that changes lives for some of our young folks. Our National Guard youth camp just celebrated its 30th anniversary. I've had 3 children go to this camp. Tremendous effort. Great time for these young men and women. Built some just lifelong friendships and a little bit of old-fashioned military discipline along the way. And then lastly, we are working with trying to help the USO renovate the USO building at McCready Training Center. So again, on behalf of Major General McCarty and General Jeff Jones, no Jeff Jones jokes today. And I will be followed by Colonel Andrew Thorne from McIntyre. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for having us here today. I just want to first, and I know it's been said before, but as a guardsman, I want to express to you my sincere thanks for your support for the Guard in this state. It is tremendous. When I travel to other states and I see some of the support that the civilian side gives their Guard is unmatched what South Carolina does for their guardsmen. I just wanted to say that out front. So I want to give you a little snapshot of what McIntyre is doing. You can take this same snapshot and apply it 6 months from now, change the names, and it's probably going to be the same frequency of things that we're doing. So in just a few weeks, we're going to have probably a 50-member team show up at McIntyre that's going to help us with some inspections that we have going on from Air Combat Command. Right on the heels of that, we're going to deploy several jets and several hundred people down to Tyndall Air Force Base to do what's called a checkered flag. That is where we're going to take weapons that are in the United States Air Force inventory. We're going to break the seals on them and out of the boxes. We're going to load them up on airplanes, and we're going to make sure they work. And all aspects of that kill chain, if you will, from the guy who delivers it out of the warehouse, the guy who loads it on the airplane, and then the guy who delivers it, to make sure we all know how to do our jobs right and make sure those things work. So we're going to be doing that for about 2.5 weeks down in Florida. As has been mentioned before, we're currently in the middle of hurricane season. And if you didn't realize this, McIntyre is a national asset. It is one of only 3 standalone Guard bases in the entire United States. And because it is located here in South Carolina, during a natural disaster, whether it's a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, any type of event like that, McIntyre is going to be a hub that helps with the operations to help our communities. So McIntyre is very important for that, and we're gearing up for hurricane season like we do every year to make sure McIntyre is up and running and able to run when other locations in the state may not be able to. And then finally, next year, we're going to be sending probably several hundred people and several jets on a national tasking. We don't know where that's going to be yet, but it'll happen next year. So those are the things that are just going to be happening in the next 6 to 7 months. And then at the end of that 6 or 7 months, there'll be another list of things we're going to be doing because that's the way it is. But I thank you again for your support of Guardsmen because they are your partners in your businesses. They're your employees. And without you, they couldn't come out here and do their other calling, which is serving the state and the nation in the South Carolina Air National Guard. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Alan Katindig. I'm the U.S. Army Recruiting Battalion Columbia Battalion Commander, and I represent the recruiting efforts for the Active Duty Army and the U.S. Army Reserve. It's my pleasure to announce to you all that USREC is on track to make its accession mission for fiscal year 2024. Columbia Battalion is on track to make its combined mission, a feat not accomplished since about 2019, this year. In fact, right now we are plus 217 RA or active duty soldiers from last year. When last year we finished last year in September, we're already plus 217. Army Reserve side, we are already above the Army Reserve side as well by 51 from end of fiscal year last year. Some of the things, upcoming things that are happening with the reserve, with the recruiting effort. Columbia Company is working with 439 Infantry Battalion out of Fort Jackson for a Mega Future Soldier event, meeting up with drill sergeants, going through obstacle course, eating MRE. They're good nowadays. And just getting familiar with basic training life at the end of September. We'll also be involved in the state fair here in Columbia. We also have the Recruiting Retention College out of Fort Knox, Kentucky. They'll be here in November, mid-November timeframe for their own capstone exercises where all the recruiters come in and try to train up on how to recruit. And so they will be coming over here during our recruiting surge in November. And of course, because the school year is starting, we're coming to your high schools and colleges to ensure that information goes out about the opportunities of the active duty Army and U.S. Army Reserves. I'll be followed by Mr. Schweda.
First thing I'm going to do is blow Alan out of the water. Anybody that's eaten his MREs know he's fibbing a little bit. As a matter of fact, every time I brought them home for the kids, my wife told me not to poison the kids. Except for those. One of the biggest things we do is branding in the Army. And one of the things that's really happening that's pretty cool right now is on Sunday, we've got the big race at Darlington, and the group carrying in the American flag will be the Army Golden Knights. It was put together at the very last minute. And they have also chosen to go ahead and bring 12 of our recruiting soldiers into the driver's instructions, which is a pretty big deal. So the racers will get an appreciation for some of our Army ethic there as well. Over the last 4 years, we have jumped about 85 individual centers of influence to go ahead and help the recruiting effort. We've got another 8 slots. We're going to go ahead and do it again on October 8th, and I'm working those numbers hard to make sure we get the right people that will be able to help us with recruiting. Recruiting is an important thing. You are hitting those pieces there, and that's important. But I will tell you, we haven't done enough yet. And if you know an individual that's interested in joining the Army and you don't know who to talk to, you call Alan, you call me. We'll make the link up. We still need the bodies. As the most military-friendly group in the country, we're highly propense to serve, and sometimes all they need to know is where we need to hook them on up. So we appreciate that, and we'll look forward to that. One of the most important programs to reaching that goal, though, is the Future Soldier Prep Program. And I want to throw just a couple of numbers at you. Last year, when we had a recruiting goal of 60,000, we recruited 45,000, but they trained 20,000 of those individuals at Fort Jackson and brought them to a standard to graduate from basic training. Without Fort Jackson and without the Future Soldier Prep Program, we would not have hit 50% of the Army's goal.
One of the reasons that I mention that is they're sponsoring a group of CASs, civilian aides to the Secretary of the Army, that are coming to Fort Jackson on the 4th of November, and a second group I guess you're going to invite to the CG's Christmas party. And we're working on that. But what's the reason for that is we want the rest of the country to understand how important that mission is, and they're going to see it firsthand at Fort Jackson, the Future Soldier Prep Program, and they're going to see them graduate at the same time. Big deal. Last thing is the Soldier for Life program has been a tremendous success. One of the key pieces in there is a vet success program. If you know of a veteran that has a 10% disability or greater and he does not have a job, we can go ahead and link them up with a federal, a state, a municipal, or a county position and pay their salary for about 6 months until they can find a job. And I will tell you, when they're in that program, about 95% over that period of time find jobs. So let's help the vets. Now, on the positive side, the vet rate of employment is much, much higher than the population at large. The part that's suffering are the veterans' family members, and so they are now going to take the PAGE program, which is the Partner for Your Success program, and put it under the Soldier for Life program, and they're now going to sometime in the next year include spouses into the PAGE program to open the aperture and take care of getting more families members hired. As you can imagine, I moved 24 times in 32 years. It's impossible for that spouse to find meaningful employment without opportunities like this. So the Army's going to try to help itself by rebranding that group. So with that, I want to thank you, and I guess I will be followed by, hell, I don't know. Jason Fowler, you're the man.
Good afternoon. So usually Sandy Claypool would be up here to represent the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs, but I took the last week off and was at the beach, and so she wanted to punish me. And then she brought Ed Bell, Sergeant Major Bell, over there to keep an eye on me. So I really got to do good. In all seriousness, greetings from the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs, our Secretary, Major General Retired Todd McCaffrey. I first would like to take a minute to introduce our newest team member, and he is also the Midlands Regional Integration Officer, and that's Mr. Jelani Edwards. Jelani is a retired Command Sergeant Major, 29 years in the Army. Thanks for down. So we're really happy to have him, and if you're a veteran service organization or anybody that wants to work with us at the SCDVA, please grab Jelani afterwards and get his business card. The main thing I'm up here instead of Sandy for is because at the SCDVA and the Military Affairs Division, we're continuously trying to sustain and enhance the military presence in South Carolina through quality of life and base support issues. About a year or so ago, the command staff at the Joint Base Charleston brought to us the issue of military child care, as did some of the other installations, and asked us about military child care in your neighborhood and bringing that to South Carolina. And on August 1st, the South Carolina Department of Social Services, in conjunction with the Department of Defense, launched the Military Child Care in Your Neighborhood Plus program here in South Carolina, which is a very big deal. We had an announcement out at Shaw Air Force Base. It was a really nice press conference. When it was initially brought to us, I went to Susan and I said, Susan, who do you know at South Carolina Department of Social Services? And she gave me Miss Connolly Ann Ragley's phone number, who took the ball and ran with it. And DOD said that South Carolina is not only the 15th state, there's only 15 states, y'all, in this program that has accepted this challenge of making this program a reality for military families, but also that South Carolina Department of Social Services did so in a shorter time from inception to launch than other states. This mountain was moved largely in part to DSS Secretary Leach's leadership, Colleen Ann Ragley, her tenacity, Miss Kathy Kovacs, and the whole staff over at SCDSS, all their hard work and determination. I'll read a very small excerpt from their website about this program, which better explains it, because you're probably like, what is this? What are you talking about? Department of Social Services Division of Early Care and Education is proud to partner with the United States Department of Defense to provide military child care in your neighborhood plus, a program offering affordable, accessible child care options to military families. MCCYM Plus offers fee assistance to eligible military and DoD civilian families when on-base child care is unavailable or if families do not live near base. This gives families a sense of ease when searching for high-quality child care. The program is eligible for active duty military personnel, National Guard members, reservists, and DoD civilian personnel. Families can choose eligible licensed child care and family home programs that have at least an ABC quality rating of B+, and they can learn more at militarychildcare.com. So basically, when there's not enough child care on post, and that's the case everywhere. And we know that child care is a national problem also, not just with the military. But now our families can go off post to different child care organizations that have scored a B+ or higher and participate in the state ABC child care program. And those family members can receive some fee assistance from the Department of Defense. This is a win-win for all of our families in South Carolina. We're so very proud of the South Carolina Department of Social Services for taking this up for us and carrying the banner. So it's a sincerest thanks to them. I think they should get a round of applause since this is being taped and maybe they'll get to see it. There's so much going on at the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs, not only for our veteran community. Like I said, we work for our military installations as well. I encourage you to check out our website, scdva.sc.gov. There's a stack of cards in the back, and of course, there's 4 of us here. So reach out if you have any questions. Susan, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Can you tell all the great work that's going on in this community? I'll tell you, it's amazing. And I thank each and every one of y'all for that. And if you didn't catch it, we had 3 major change of commands. So we have 3 new leaders with the fort, the reserves, and also out at McIntyre that we're going to make them bring them into. They're already a part of this defense community. They wanted to be here today. They will be here again. So when they all get back in town, they'll be coming to our next meeting, hopefully in November. So look forward and mark your calendars to come back and participate then. I also wanted to let you know, they talked about the Future Soldier Program. I hear a lot of comments in the community sometimes that the Army is reducing their standards so that we can bring in more people. That is absolutely not the case. We don't reduce our standards. We bring everybody up to our standards so that we can bring them in. Congratulations on meeting your records. And that also goes to everybody here. Each and every one of you are a recruiter. So let me see the hands of somebody who has served before, our veterans. Okay. Look at that, y'all. It's amazing. These are the people that stay here retained here. Let's give them a big hand. So they are part of our recruiters in their Sunday schools, their classrooms, their neighborhoods, their communities. So if you didn't raise your hand, that means you are a supporter of those folks and you are also a recruiter. So help us get the job done. It is a great and admirable occupation, and you'd learn so much. And then we retain our talents, and we have Laura McKinney here from the Columbia Chamber, and she is actually working on workforce development and talent retention. So you'll be hearing from her later on as we build our programs to not only support each and every employer in here, but also our Guard and Reserves and our military folks. So I did want to mention that. When we were talking just a minute ago, I have to catch up all these little footnotes. Y'all know that. So when we were talking about the funding that's coming into this state, just to point out, $6.6 billion comes from these local organizations right here represented. $6.6 billion every year annually coming into here. Last week, Fort Jackson graduated 1,200 new proud soldiers. Their amazing families traveled from all over the world to come here and watch them. We probably had over 10,000 people. 3,000 of them were waiting out in restaurants over in Forest Acres, so we appreciate that. But they come here. They make this their vacation. It is a family time. They come here. They love it. They're proud. They visit their families. They visit the town. If you go anywhere, Wednesdays and Thursdays, you will see our military people. And if you see the brand new little berets, make sure and say congratulations and thank you. It means a lot to them and their families. So we appreciate that. And then we were talking earlier about the major donations that are coming in or support from Washington. Our military in the state of South Carolina is $32 billion. So when you think about that's just the actual military, You think about the DoD contractors and everybody else that supports that military, it is huge. And we are so proud. Better than that, though, is the impact that they're making around the world. And we certainly appreciate that. We mentioned a while ago the ESGR, Employer Support for the Guard and Reserves. If you've not signed a letter of support, we would love for you to sign that. David Gale is over here. Jennifer Harding is not here, and she said to bring you all her greetings. They all are doing a lot of work with yellow ribbons and welcoming everybody back to town, helping acclimate them, making sure all their paperwork's in good. So if you need anything, let us know. We are here to help you with that as well. And also Phil is here that can help us. And then wanted to make a mention, USO is not here today, but General Jones is not here today. And when you hear it, thank you for not making his jokes. We appreciate that. But he's going to be so disappointed. We actually have Girl Scout cookies at the back. And one of his favorite things to do is dress up like a cookie and hand out free treats to all of our garden reserves. So we're going to give him some cookies back. Take pictures with him for me, please, Colonel Heaton. So thank you, Girl Scouts, for being here. They do a lot. I told them they train them up right and the way we want them to go. So they do have free cookies back at the back. You can grab some. Doubletree has free cookies, and Freddie's just arrived with free ice cream. So in just a minute, we'll all go take part in all of that. Not now. You have to wait a minute, okay? But I also wanted to make mention of USO, one of our other great partners. You mentioned them earlier. Between January 1st and July the 31st, USO has had over 160,000 touch points. That means, yeah, very good. It's a 28% increase over what they did last year. So when you think about the lives and the impacts that they're making and the people they're touching, they're out in the field, they're at the airport, they're at Camp McCready, they're now going down to Charleston and also in Georgia. So thank you for that. And I've already talked them into giving the extra cookies for USO, and Freddie's donates the ice cream. And you think about the soldiers really love the ice cream when they get to the airport. They save it for them. So I have a couple more recognitions that I want to do, and this is along the lines of supporting our military children and family. Colonel Hutton had mentioned a couple of them, but we are proud to recognize our local folks who have been so supportive of our military children. And anybody, y'all know what a Purple Star District is? Raise your hand, everybody. Okay. No, it's not a Clemson fan. But Purple Star District is what is a title given to schools who have military liaison programs, supporting the military children, helping them come into the communities, helping them acclimate to the programs that we have. We're extremely proud to say that Richland School District 2 is a Purple Star District. And I'll have to say, I've personally worked with them. They lead the way in the state. And everybody wants to be more like them. District 2 is one as well. And they also work very closely with our group. But they were just recently awarded a Partner of Excellence nomination to be a 2024 finalist from the Lieutenant General Retired H.G.P. Taylor Partnership Award. And that's a long title, but what it really means is that they have achieved excellence in all regards for supporting our military children. And not only have they achieved excellence, they are working it and living it every day, and they're bringing these programs to life. They're have worldwide partnerships that are looking at them to say, let me do what they're doing here because they're doing it so well. They set out with the goal in mind to work with military installations, school districts, and other stakeholders to serve military and veteran-minded communities. And their goal, and I think this is very admirable, is to build the strongest Purple Star program in the country. The group assembled and committed to sharing the vision of creating impact, promoting growth, and developing and fostering connection. So at this time, I would love to call on our folks who have made this happen, the Midlands Military Childhood Education Coalition, I always want to put Midlands in everything. So Dr. Kim Priester, who is with the Military Interstate Children's Compact and Department of Education, if you would stand and remain standing, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Jason Fowler with the Department of Military Affairs, Veteran Affairs. Thank you, Jason, for your leadership. Fred Henley from Fort Jackson. He is our student liaison officer, does a great job out in the community and on base, and working with our one and only Kelsey Carter from Richland School District 2, who is our military community liaison. And I'll tell you, if If you want to see some great teamwork and great leadership, and then you look at who their champion is and Sarah Jane Arnett, you will understand why we have such a wonderful military education community here. So, Sarah Jane, thank you all. Thank each and every one of you for what you do. They come in early, they leave late, they go to programs all over. They are constantly working on behalf of our military children. And when I said earlier, we recruit a soldier, we retain a family. Thank you all for what you do. You leave a mark. And during the Education Childhood Week, if you want to come read books, they'll take you anywhere you want to go to read books to our military children. So thank you so very much. We applaud you. We appreciate you. Okay, and then another one I'm going to mention, and Colonel Hutton had already mentioned this as well, but Kamala Henley with our Family Advocacy Program Specialist at Fort Jackson. Kamala, stand up and let us recognize you, please. So thank you so much. She was recognized by the Department of Defense Family Advocacy Program for exceptional efforts in prevention of domestic abuse and child abuse and developing programs to help foster a safe atmosphere for our children, our military spouses, and domestic spouses. So this is quite an accomplishment. I do have to point out that Fred and Kamala are married. And so when you think about a dynamic duo, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to a dynamic duo who are making great strides on behalf of our military children. So thank you both for what you're doing. Also, for any of our partners in the room, if you want some great ideas on how to connect with folks and how to do meaningful programs that will add value in not only your community, maybe your church, maybe your business, reach out. There is no better compliment than to be copied in a program that you develop and implement. So we thank you so very much for all of your work. We appreciate that. And Colonel Messenger and his family, they were recognized. If you ever met Amy Messenger, I'll tell you what, she is an angel here on earth. Her husband's not quite the angel that she is, but she's pretty good. Just teasing. He does a great job as well. But they had 4 children, and I'm telling you what, she could bake over 1,200 cookies in a week for the soldiers at Fort Jackson. So she did a great job. We appreciate that. Just want to go through a few reminders for you so that as you're taking a look at what are you going to do in the future, I'll let you know that. First of all, a hearty thanks to the South Carolina State Fair. Nancy Smith couldn't be with us today, but they're the ones that make this all beautiful. I tell you, I felt like I was at a political convention. I walked in and it's really a pride convention. I love it. So hats off. If you see anybody from the state fair, tell them thank you so very much. We appreciate that. I also want to let you know that the state fair is in town October 9th through the 20th. We'll have a lot of different military setups throughout. We'll have some of the bands out. I love it. They start every day with the Pledge of Allegiance. So that's a great thing. And they bring in somebody different. This year, we're saluting 46 counties. And South Carolina grown. So we're going to hit all your National Reserve programs. We also have Military Appreciation Days, October the 10th, October the 14th, October the 17th. It's free for active duty and reserves and dependents with your military ID. So make plans to meet your mother at the Rocket. For those of you who are young to understand what that means, let me know. I'll tell you. I'll fill you in. And then also wanted to go through just a few of them. We are really blessed to have so many different folks here sharing information, and it's all about trying to make sure that as we look at being a great American defense community, we're all partners, and that's what it's all about. So we have partners in the room when we bring in our new recruits to MEPS. They come over and stay with Donna Ladd and her team. And so we just have, Sheraton does a lot hosting us with our military groups. And so just want to bring up some of the upcoming events. And Morning of Remembrance is September 11th down at the Convention Center. We have the Tunnel Tower 5K run on September 13th. For all of our military folks, there are discounted tickets over at Fort Jackson that all you have to do is sign up for. The Big Red Bond, Scotty McCleary, has a fall jam at the ballpark, Seger Ballpark, on the 28th. There's information back at the back. The Columbia Chamber has their 121st Under the Lights Gala on Main Street. It's going to be amazing. We'll have all of our military leaders there, so y'all come join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then tickets are available for that. Sponsorships are available for that. So if you want to come join us. It's going to be great. We have the Providence Home has an evening with Willie Robertson. They have military tickets available free, and they'll be sharing those as well. Field and Stream has a music concert October 4th through the 6th in the field. So if you like country music, you can go out and have a good time out towards Blythewood, and they have free military tickets available. And then another one of my favorites, we're hosting a welcome breakfast for General Hood on November the 13th. We'll be at the Doubletree. It's going to be quite amazing. We hope you'll mark your calendars and come out and help us welcome him and his lovely wife, Michelle. They love Columbia community. They said, whoo, everybody said it was friendly, but I just didn't believe it could be quite this friendly. So they're loving it here. And so we're trying to encourage them to retire here too. And by the way, General Kelly might be coming back. I'm always recruiting. And then on December 14th, we have a very special ceremony out at the Fort Jackson National Cemetery, and that's Wreaths Across America. So if you want to volunteer, buy wreaths, if you want to help put them out, but most of all, come out to the program. It is extremely special and it will bless your heart, especially when you see all the family members who are out there honoring those who gave their all. So it'll really bless your heart on that one. And then I just wanted to take a minute too. I wouldn't want to overlook my team members. I have Amy Al Muhammad, who is over here. She is New Partner Sales, and she works extremely hard getting out, making connections, making sure that everybody understands all of the programs and partnerships that are available for each and every one of y'all. And then she does what she can to help me on every occasion, and I love that. So great partnerships there. I introduced Laura McKinney back at the back. She's got the black sweater on. So if you want to talk about workforce development and retention, Laura be the one for that. And then back at the back in the white jacket, we have Naomi Walton. Naomi runs our small business breakout session. So if you're a small business and want free educational information, we try to provide information to you to help you out. And information that's handy that you would have to go out and get and pay for. We try to provide that for you. So Naomi, thank you for that. She also runs the Midlands Minority Accelerator Program. And that is a program the Chamber runs, and it is to help small businesses who are trying to move the next step forward. They know how to do what they do, but they don't know how to run the business to make the plan go further. So if you know anybody that's looking for additional help to grow their business, please talk to Naomi, because she will definitely give you some great ideas and tips on that. And then we have what the Chamber calls diplomats, and these are our partners who come out and help us out. We have Terry Judy and Zach Wilkerson. They help us on so many occasions. I tell you, the overtime they put in for us is amazing. So thank you both for what you do. I appreciate that. Have to tell Karen Jenkins, you talk about a cheerleader and a champion. Thank you, Karen, for everything you do. I know this is your last military meeting as chairman, but she will always be here with us because her heart's with our military. We appreciate that. Okay, so we're getting very close to dessert and Freddy's. So thank you for bearing with me. We have just want to say thank you very much to First Command for sponsoring our welcome reception and for sponsoring this meeting. We help you for that. And also thank you, Freddy's, for coming and sharing the delicious treats. And to remember, you can stop by any of their locations and help them out. Ryan is over here from First Command if you'd like to talk to him. Sound and Images, thank you all so much. We count on them so much to bring all of our quality technical help. Adam Vance is here if you want to talk to him about anything. And so if there's anything that we at the Chamber can do to help you with military, with small business, anything in the community, please just reach out. Let us know. We are here to serve and support each and every one of you. We thank you. We couldn't do what we do without y'all. And so congratulations to our excellence team. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandy, for your leadership as well. And we just appreciate you. Go forth, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. Please take an opportunity to get out and meet somebody and share some of your tips on what are your programs that you have that you're putting into the community. So thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So have a great day, a blessed day, and God bless America. Thank you so much.